Hello, everyone, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. Teamsheet Tantrum for I know you said Waterford, for the Watford game today. That would be a turn up for the books. Although I'd be as hopeful of beating Waterford as I would be of beating Watford today. But yeah, I was having Paddy today. Apologies, it's going to be a bit echoey where I am. I'm here. I'm stuck in my kitchen at the moment on Daddy Daycare. So if you hear anybody giving out, I have someone here wrestling with a Thai, I'm going to say butterfly. I think it's a butterfly at the moment. So apologies for any background noise. But we're not here to talk about that. We are 4 minutes away from team sheet news in Villa Park today. Villa versus Watford. Lots of rumours swirling today, Paddy. Everything only short of George Boateng is going to start at central defensive midfielder today, I've heard. I've heard every other permutation this morning since.
Yeah, well, I kind of tuned out of it and I turned it off at about 9:30 this morning because I was just sick of looking at rubbish, to be honest. So I just decided I'll wait till 2 o'clock and then we'll deal in facts then after that, because I have a feeling there might be a little bit of a tantrum at 2 o'clock, but we don't know how much.
Myself and Paddy were texting last night, and Paddy, you were saying that you're really looking forward to, and you've kind of talked yourself into the fact that young Tim might start today. I don't know, am I fully there yet with regards to him starting? And I'm not fully sure. And also, look, I think you'll only be living under a rock, but it's been going around social media today that potentially Ashley Young is going to start at right back. That I'm not a fan of. I'm certainly
I don't
not
think
a
that's
fan
going to
of
happen.
that.
You know,
I'd be
and
really blown away if that happened.
just to put some context on the fact that I wanted Tim to start today, I think this is Tim's last chance to start a game. I think
Really?
I think that Konza could come back in next week and Chambers could start in that position. So that's why I'm itching to get Tim into that position today to see what he's made of. I think he's due a chance there. It's not the kind of position you normally bring someone on. So it's either start or do it off the bench. So I'd throw him in there for sure.
Yeah, I just don't think we're going to see. I don't think we're going to see him start today.
No,
I
and
think that
Shane, in fairness, there says Gerrard has said he's not ready. So
but he did say he's getting really close to playing in the Premier League. He said that just before the Newcastle game.
yeah,
So it's kind of mixed messaging there, I think, from Gerrard. But you are right, Timo. You are. I myself, I hate when manager I know I said directly afterwards that I needed to hear Stephen Gerrard say that he was unhappy with the performance and that there was going to be changes. But at the same time, he's painted himself into a corner now whereby people are expecting radical changes, and I just don't think there will be. I don't, and people are expecting them to the playing squad. And as I said before, I think it's going to be more tweaks to the formation, more so than anything else. Which people like. I think by saying there's going to be changes directly after the game, the more I think about it, the more I think you shouldn't have said that. The more I think you should have said that on Friday,
yeah.
as opposed to saying it directly after the game. But we are where we are, and I suppose we'll understand what changes mean in probably less than 30 seconds. I'm not going to be able to share up the team because I'm doing this on my iPad. I know, very unprofessional of me, isn't it? I'm getting given out to here from the side here by my 4-month-old. But we do, I think we have a team. No, we don't. Not up yet. But the team should be announced very, very soon. And I'm sure we will go through it. Besides the team, Paddy, and stuff like that, we're looking at West Ham and Newcastle there today. And I see a couple of people talking about it there. Newcastle are really getting a kind of a bounce at the moment. And I'm reluctant to kind of go too heavy into this because just as I start talking about it, there's probably going to be news of a team sheet. But just on the Matty Target piece, we never spoke on Matty Target. He gave that interview to TalkSport, and I don't think it really changed my opinion of him or anything like that because he wanted to go. Let him go. We brought in somebody better. But if he wanted to go because there was somebody who came in and maybe was the same or wasn't as good as him, I don't think we should force players to sit in the bench. I think that's up to us to churn the squad if we need be. And we're going to, as we get better, we're going to have good players leave the club. He's only gone on loan, but we do have a team sheet here, and I knew this was going to happen as soon as I got philosophical about it. And our team sheet is in. We have Martinez in goals, Cash, Chambers, Mings, Digne, McGinn, Douglas Luiz, Jacob Ramsey, Buendia, Ings, Coutinho. See, I kind of said painting himself into a corner with the changes thing when he may not have any changes to actually make because
Yeah,
of the personnel that we have. Only changes things for Watkins.
yeah,
And yes, that is a change that we all expected. But as I said previously, we need the change to formation or the change to setup or the change to structure is what he probably meant. This to me suggests that's what he meant when he talked about there's going to have to be changes. But it's almost impossible to articulate that in a post-match press conference
yeah.
because
And
obviously
especially,
you don't want to give
especially
the
when you're
game away.
pissed off, and when you're pissed off, things are taken
Yeah.
out of context as well. We all know that. So look, I'm interested to see how this lines up. I know we spoke about playing 2 6s and or ruling out that flat 3 6.5s or whatever they are. So that's where I anticipate there's going to be changes in that midfield. Otherwise, we're just looking at more of the same. But it's I'm a little bit disappointed there isn't more changes, especially in that midfield. But look, we'll see what happens.
I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of okay with the midfield. Like I've said it before, and I know people aren't going to be on the same wavelength as me. And I'm not saying it to be controversial. I'm saying it because because I really felt, and I genuinely felt when he said the changes were marked that, and I know I'm harping on it. I felt that there wasn't really that many changes he could make at this moment in time. Yes, you could bring in Sanson for Douglas Luiz, but I just don't think that you get the requisite play from Sanson in that number 6 position. And if we're going to play a flat three across the middle in those 8 positions or 6.5 as we call them, maybe so. I think we're going to see McGinn and Douglas Luiz deeper today. I just think that's the way it's going to be because for me the issue with midfield is that our fullbacks are playing a different postcode. It's one of the issues. It's not the whole issue. But like, if you're going to allow your fullbacks to play in a different postcode completely right up the top of the field, like who's going to protect Mings and Konza? And for me, the easiest thing is to drop 2 people back in there to cover space, more so than having a specific defensive midfielder. It doesn't always work. It absolutely doesn't always work. But for me, what we're doing right now at the moment isn't working, and it's actually stifling our attacking play because we're defending our own, or we're clogging our own space with having so many people tied around together, and by not having a pivot or not having even a single pivot. But I think by putting in a double pivot, it gives us plenty of space up there for Coutinho and Bundy to buzz around. Now, I may not be right, but yeah, look, we're here and we're looking at a team that has one change, so there must be changes in the setup.
There have to be, unless he's talking about that one change because he was pissed off at Ollie Watkins. I don't know. There's bigger things to be pissed off with the last week's performance than Ollie Watkins. So, you'd have to think that there's going to be a positional change in that midfield. I would have liked to see Tim in there, but Tim in there maybe with Douglas Luiz at the expense of someone else. But look, it's nothing to be losing sleep over. If we win this match today, all will be forgotten and we're moving on again. Like in management, you're only as good as your last game. Unfortunately, that makes him a shit manager from last week. So look, it was the first time we ever saw him showing defeat. His attitude had been slumped in the chair like he was last week. We're going to need to see a performance today. But having said that, if he doesn't trust those young lads to come in, what changes can he make? I don't get it. I don't get why young Tim has been around the team and not getting a chance.
I'm going to stay away from saying he doesn't trust players to come into the team. And
why not give him a chance then?
Well, then if he gives him a chance, there's going to be corners of the public that say, "Oh, he panicked." I think by saying there's going to be changes, he painted himself into a corner in a lose-lose situation, and that there were some people that wouldn't be happy unless there was 11 changes made to the team. Yeah. So and that's the thing, and that's I'm not going to say that's kind of the PR thing. But if he doesn't come out and say there's going to be changes, people would have been slating him all week, said, "Well, he doesn't believe there needs to be wholesale changes." Ian Smith came out and said that and said, "We know what we need to do to fix it," and he got slated as well. So I think as a manager, I nearly even go so far as to say you just go in and you just agree with everything the interviewer says after a loss like Newcastle, because we're now at the situation today because everybody was expecting wholesale changes. I definitely think the formation is going to be changed today, and I think that the setup is going to be changed. And I'm harping on that specifically from the point that I always thought that was what changes meant. But now to myself, I feel vindicated to myself, not to anyone else. Not saying I told you so or anything like that, but there's a couple of pieces here. Shane, first of all, Shane, thank you so much for your contribution. Really, really appreciate that. That's amazing stuff. And as Shane points out here as well, that McGinn scores hat tricks for Scotland. Remember that? Yeah, he does. But when he's covering for the right back, you know, in this system, it's going to be very difficult for him to score a hat trick. And I think that's why there's going to be formational changes today. I don't think potentially the fullbacks won't get forward as much. And the width it'll have to be provided by Coutinho and Buendia, or they'll have to be more willing to get out there and get out onto the wings while we say more structured in midfield. It's a weird one, Paddy, because Watford haven't won. I was talking to or Dan Bartel, should I say, shared a post today. He said Watford are on the longest losing streak in the Premier League at the moment. Hodgson has won more points against Aston Villa than any other team he's ever played against in the Premier League, and Hodgson hasn't won his Watford manager. So just these things just always come to fruition. They always all these myriad of stupid statistics always come back to bite us in the bum whenever we're playing against teams that need a win. And I just hope that we don't become another part of that, another statistic beater on that point today, because that would be a killer for sure. And
it is the proverbial banana skin, because if we lose today, like you mentioned to me earlier, Twitter is going to be a cesspool if we lose today. It's not going to be somewhere you want to be scrolling through anyway at 5 o'clock today. But I honestly don't think it's going to come to that. I think there's enough there to go and win it. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think the wind is still howling around Villa Park from a message I just got from someone who's in B6 at the moment. So it's not going to be a pretty game of football. It's going to be a day to try and keep control of the ball without langering it up in the air all the time, which I don't know who that's going to suit based on the last few performances of both sides. But look, we need an early goal. I was trying to make a point there about young Tim. I think Gerrard is waiting until we're 2 or 3 goals up to throw him in there and see how good he is. Today has to be a day where you're looking to go and win games. If you're going to go out here to try not to lose, I think there's a problem. So we need to be going at them from the word go.
And I think we will do. I think we will do that as well. But the thing is, we've shown we got 3-1 up against Leeds. You need to be able to protect that lead as well. So there have been games this season where we've gone at teams, we've gotten a lead, whether it be a 1-0 lead even, or a 3-1 lead, or a 2-0 lead, whatever the case may be, and we've gone on and we've lost the game. So it's the shoring up as well is an issue, and that's been the case under Smith and Gerrard. Let's look at some of the comments here. Dave Herbert says, no consequences of crap performance. Sanson must be on his way. I think I could have seen Sanson start today for sure. I don't know where he would have came in, but as I said, I'm not a big believer in the Sanson comes in and plays the exact same role as Douglas Luiz part. But I wouldn't have been surprised to see him in the team today, for sure. Nathan says that Douglas Luiz needs to be dropped. Welsh Woody says that he was expecting that team. One last chance to impress her. They'll be out of the team next week. Brendan says, would have liked to see Sanson start, but you'd probably have to drop. And I think that's a fair point, that you probably would have to drop McGinn, because, we spoke about if he potentially dropped Jacob Ramsey, and I just couldn't get my head around it. If he was to drop Jacob Ramsey today, it would be looking like it would be the wrong one of the 3 to drop based on current performances. Yeah. So it would have either been McGinn, and I think McGinn is a bit more in the bank, and I just don't think we've anybody to come in for the Douglas Luiz as a maybe young Tim becomes that player, or maybe Chambers becomes that player in time to come. We actually didn't go through the subs, so we have Robin Olsen is sub-keeper, obviously, Courtney House, Ben Christine, Ashley Young Tim, Morgan Sanson, Carney, Leon Bailey, and Watkins are on the bench as well.
Yeah. No surprises there. I suppose the big news from the other side, I know we haven't probably a lot of time to go through it, but Ismail Assar is back and he's in the starting lineup today, along with Dennis. They have them all in numerical order, which I hate teams doing, so it's hard to work out where. But look, that's the big news from the Watford point of view. Ismail Assar and Dennis really did cut us the second one the last time we were there, so it's worrying, but I think we have defensively the nous to go and stop them, especially higher up the pitch. I don't think Dean is going to let him run at him the same way that Matty Target did in that first game.
So their team is going to be Foster in goals. It's going to be Feminia on the right back, Kamara left back with Cathcart and Cathcart and Samir in the in centre of defence. Sissoko, Cleverly, and Lauza are going to be the three in midfield with Ismail Assar and who else? Ismail Assar and
Dennis.
King either side of Dennis.
Yeah,
that's the way it's going to be. And to be honest with you, that was the predicted lineup for them. You would have imagined.
Yeah.
So other things for them is they've got a couple of people on the bench as well. Cabasele is on the bench. They don't have any Kuchka on the bench. Your man Hernandez, I can't remember what name he goes by. It's like Chucho or something like that. He's on the bench. He came on and scored a goal, like a wonder goal against us the day one as well.
He did.
He's on the bench too. And the starting centre half that started against us, I think Troost Ekong started against us in the first game as well. He's also on the bench too. Ben Foster, did I mention Ben Foster is back in goals? Backman, I think, started in goals for them in the first game for us as well. So, look, it still doesn't change my view that Aston Villa are going to win this game. The team, I think more what's happening here is that, we're kind of searching for something at the moment, and the only change has been the Ings has come in for Watkins, and a change I think needed to be made. So let's just see, I suppose, in the first 15 minutes, have there been any changes out there on who's allowed press forward, what way our fullbacks going to be? I would say watch very closely to what way our fullbacks play in this game. Watch very, very closely to it. And also I would say watch very closely to where Cleverly and Sissoko line up for Watford and how we deal with that, because I think that's going to be very pivotal for us today as well. Because if they drop back very deep like Shelby did, and if they play like Shelby and Joe Linton did, have the two of them back there, we're going to need to tweak our formation if our fullbacks aren't going to go forward.
I know a lot depends on the weather today, but
yes,
unless we're playing with a strong wind, I would like to see the fullback staying at home at the start and just letting the rest of the system work itself, because I think we could be punished on the counter-attack from the likes of Sarr, Dennis, and we just need to be very, very careful.
Paddy, I know we don't have a lot of time because both of us we'll probably wrap this up in the next 5 minutes or so, but what's the one thing you think Aston Villa need to do today to win? Like, what's the one thing that you and don't say a 90-minute performance, okay? You can't. You're not.
I'm not expecting one.
I know, yeah. And don't even say a 10-minute performance. But what's the one thing tactically or possession-wise or whatever that you want to see Aston Villa do today and you feel they need to do to win?
Well, I think the most important thing, I have obviously a fear of Dennis and Sarr, and I think if we can keep them quiet and keep them out of the game, I think the weather is going to keep them out of the game anyway. I don't think they'll be up for it, but the most important thing is that we score first, and I would like to see that happen a lot earlier in the game, that we can protect and hit them on the break as opposed to being sitting back and trying to protect that 1-goal lead. But the most important thing is we score early and try and maintain that for the and if this ends up 5-4 and we win, I actually don't give a shit. What needs to come today is a 3 point in the bag and come away with it. I actually don't care about the score, but I think the ideal scenario is to get ahead early, keep them penned back, try and let them hit us on the break and keep our full backs in position. So I think that'll be the key to winning the game.
Ashley Priest has mentioned here, there's a couple of quotes saying that Gerrard told last week he was left vulnerable when players who weren't. The quote doesn't really make much sense. I think there might be a typo in it, and I don't have time to figure it out. But he was talking about having to get the balance right in terms of changes, and I always thought, as I said, that was the case. But look, the proof is going to be in the pudding here. You can talk about the recipe all you want, but the proof is going to be in the pudding. And I just asked you a question there about what do you think Aston Villa are going to need to do to win. I think what Aston Villa are going to need to do to win is stop getting in each other's way, both in defence and attack. It's happened so much whereby we have it's like as if we're told, okay, this is the area we want to get into, and everybody tries to get into that area. It happened against Newcastle, and it drove me scatty. And Paddy's gone. It happened against Newcastle, and it drove me scatty. Or maybe I'm gone. I don't know. But I think that it's important that Aston Villa don't do that, and I also think it's important that Aston Villa start to take shots. I'm okay with taking long range shots. I'm okay with taking shots from outside the box. I'm okay with working the ball, working shots in and around the box. It would kill me to have Aston Villa slow everything down as they're coming to within 5 yards of the box, only for the sake of getting the ball out wide to a full back across the ball into Danny Ings. We need to get shots away. Is what I want. I want us to take. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to say I want us to take 12 shots today, 12 shots plus today, and that's not been something Aston Villa have done. Because I'm getting really frustrated with. And I'm okay with someone taking a shot and deflecting off someone's arse going out for a corner, or taking a shot and going 10 yards over the bar. But at the moment, we're getting the ball to the byline and we're not doing anything with it. We haven't done anything with it since 2020. Genuinely, Ross Barkley, last time I can remember us, having, going on, I suppose, scoring some goals from outside the box in succession. And I know people are going to turn around and say X person did it and Y person did it in a singularity. But I'm talking about Jack Grealish scored a couple of goals from outside the box. Ross Barkley scored goals from outside the box. I'm not saying bring back Ross Barkley, but the reason they did it was because they took shots. And the reason they were able to take shots is because we were able to drag people around the field. But with our midfield three staying so central and also being so high at times, we're crowding everyone around. No one gets a chance to have a shot. They have to go out wide. And then you see these aimlessly silly crosses come in. So that's what I want to happen. Paddy, before we go as well, and this is the second last question I have for you. Give me something that you think we'll see that we normally don't see in this game today from Aston Villa.
Jeepers. Well, I think we'll see Watford will play a little bit higher than what we've played in the last few weeks. And I think this game is made, as was Leeds, was made for Danny Ings. And that's why we've been crying out for him for weeks. So I think we're going to see Danny Ings playing off the shoulder of the last defender. And we're going to see many slide rule passes through if we can get Buendia and Philippe Coutinho into the game. I think that's going to be the game changer. So that's what's going to be different. I think the slide rule passes will be a lot higher up the pitch, as in Watford will be higher up the pitch. So I predict there'll be a couple of one-on-ones there with Danny Ings, and you've always got to back him in that situation. But going back to what I said earlier, I think the two full-backs will stay at home a lot more today. I think if the weather is anything to go by, that's what I would do differently. The midfield, I'll leave that to you.
The midfield, I have no thoughts on the midfield until I see what way they set up, because I cannot see them setting up flat again like they did last time. And if they do set up flat, I cannot see Douglas Luiz going out to the left to play 5-yard triangles between Coutinho, Digne, and himself. Because if that there's no way in a million years he's been told to do that in the training field. Absolutely none. And if he has, it's a conversation for another day. The thing I think that we're going to see from Aston Villa today that we haven't seen in quite a while is, I think we're going to get a penalty. And I think we need a penalty. I think we're going to get a penalty. Oh, sorry, dog. I think we're going to get a penalty. And I think we're going to get a penalty, and I think it's going to be our first goal, because I think we're going to bomb at them as much. And do you know what? It would make me smile from ear to ear if it was Matty Cash that got the penalty, because I've given him some stick over the last week about not backing himself or not getting at fullbacks. And I think you can get a fullback. So I think that's the next level of his game. I've said it about 6 weeks ago. I'm going to continue to say it. The best fullbacks are able to get at players and cross the ball in, or are able to cross the ball from deep. Matty Cash has shown he can get up to those areas, play lovely link balls, but what he needs to do is he needs to start getting a small bit more selfish when he gets up there, maybe take a player on once in a while and not be as predictable as cross the ball off them or get the ball back into McGinn, into a more central position. So for me, I think the Aston Villa are going to score a penalty today. And Paddy, lastly, I know you gave me a score prediction based off not knowing what the team was for the team sheet or for the preview. What's your team prediction based on the team? What's your score prediction based on the team we've seen?
I can't even remember what I said did I give a score prediction?
I think you said 2-0. I think you might have said 2-0.
that's what I have in my head anyway. Is 2-0. So I'll stick with that. Although I'm reluctant every time I seem to back us to win, we lose. So or don't win. So a tentative 2-0. I think the weather will play. But I tell you, I think what's vital for us today is our set piece delivery. If it's anything like it was last week, we got to judge that win. We got to be on point. We got to take the players off it that were on it last week. I'm not digging out anybody here, but if we've got players who can deliver a ball like Coutinho or Buendia or John McGinn, then we got to utilise them to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we go, and Paddy, if you need to run off, you can. If you need to go up, because I know you need to be somewhere. But just before we go, a couple of comments here. Darren says, you just know that Sarah's going to make Dina's life a misery. I'm more enthused by Dina's performance against Rafinha, and I think that if he can complement that performance, himself and Jacob Ramsey can maybe marshal that like they did marshal Rafinha. That makes me think that he might be a small bit better, but we have to obviously look out for Sarr for sure. There's a couple of ones here. Watkins coming off the bench, says Matty, full of energy and with something to prove is very exciting to me. That also feels like a game where Coutinho can strive. I very much hope that is exactly it. And Steven Gerrard has been in man management mode with Ollie Watkins talking about resetting himself this week. Nathan Stokes says work hard with and off the ball. Absolutely. Nathan Cohn, thank you so much, Nathan. He says great show as always, guys. Up the Villa. There was a comment there from Big Ben. Thank you so much, Big Ben, for liking the video. If everybody could just give it a like, thumbs up, it'd be brilliant. Rob, 12 shots isn't greedy. I didn't think it was, but based on how few shots Villa have, it's greedy from a historical point of view over recent history, should I say. Oh no, my child is going to start crying now in a moment. Darren says again, if we can do the basics well today and not to make too many mistakes, we'll be okay. The weather isn't even that bad in Birmingham at the moment, not where I am anyway. Yeah, it's actually calm enough here in Ireland at the moment. And Pete Tandy says, Bailey 20-minute masterclass. You kind of have to hope so because we've only seen it once today as well. I'm going to leave you guys on this one. I presume this is Louise and not Louise because I know a girl called Louise and I'd say she'd be able to take a rapid free kick. But Louise taking free kicks, I kind of don't want to see that either today. It's had its moment in the sun and it hasn't really worked. So I think that we'd like to change that one up. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. It's coming up here on 2:25. I'm sure I know there's a couple of people in the ground that have checked in here. Before I do go, there's a big contingent from Galway over to see the game. It is 10 years. It's gone past the 10-year anniversary of Eamon Chickdeesy's unfortunate passing away. And a big crowd are gone over today in his memory as well. So I just want to say hello to any of those guys if they are watching. And hello to TJ and a couple of the other guys who went over there. So enjoy the day, bring home a win with you. And before the child starts crying, all I'm going to say is up the Villa. Enjoy the game, and here's to a Villa win.